Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I'm going to be talking about what I think the prophecies are saying is coming in the next 12 months. And before I do that, I encourage you to subscribe and click the bell and share Friday night Bible study at 6:30, and we read the Bible. Also, we are asking everyone to join the Prophecy Club. And why? Because Jason Meeks had a dreams, a prophet, and he says that hard times are coming and a prophecy club is going to survive. We need to be asking people now to do an automatic, every month, normal donation of just $9.90. And yes, we encourage you to give more, but we're asking for at least $9.90 from everybody that follows Prophecy Club, so that in the time of trouble, you're still going to have a Prophecy Club there speaking and guiding you through. And that's when we really need that more than anything else. And also, if God has blessed you and you could give more, now would be a really good time. Okay, so before we get into this, I want to encourage you. I think that it's not an accident that Leslie and I went on an archaeology tour in 1991, where we've been to the crossing side of the Red Sea, Noah's Ark. I can tell you where the Ark of the Covenant is, pretty close to it. The actual tomb that Jesus was crucified in. I have climbed on Mount Sinai. I've been to Elam. I mean, all of these things. And I really, really encourage you. I want you to do this. Let me just tell you, do it, okay? You'll be glad you did. Get this book. It's Revealing God's Treasures, and it's high. I mean, they look like original photographs, high-resolution photographs of all of these places. And it has a brief explanation, but the explanation does not go far enough, so we put this DVD together with it. So what you get is a book and a DVD, both for a gift of $100, and it'd be the best $100 you spent in a long time. This, I'm going to let you pause and read this because I don't have time. I got to move on. But this is what is in the book and the DVD. Sodom and Gomorrah, Noah's Ark, Red Sea Crossing at Mount Sinai, Ark of the Covenant. Run time for the DVD is 210 minutes and 152 pages of high-resolution photographs. Things like Noah's Ark, Sodom and Gomorrah, Red Sea Crossing, Mount Sinai, you can see pictures of all of them. The real Ark of the Covenant, there's pictures of it in there. Also, this is some of the photographs that we took at Sodom and Gomorrah. You see in the background is a ziggurat or a pyramid. In the front, we believe, before the brimstone hit it, was actually a sphinx shape. And I think it was actually Leslie took this picture. And I think that that's me climbing up, way up in here. We're heading up to the split rock. This is the rock that Moses struck and water came out. You want to see high-resolution photographs of this. You want to see them. And again, I think I took that one. And I think this is me right here. Leslie took that picture. That rascal is about 4 stories tall. He struck that rock and water came out. And what I want you to see here, all of this is smooth. Now, all of the rocks around this is jagged. This is all smooth. You can tell when you're there. A river, millions of gallons of water poured out of here. See how it's also smooth and just watch it smooth? That's from the water coming out of it. This, in no question, is the rock that Moses struck and water came out. And that's a picture of me in the rock right here. That's me, okay? And one of the guys took a picture for me so I could prove I was there. And this is the backside of the rock. And up here, when you climb up in there, you can see there's an area up in there that's just kind of about the size of a big beach ball, and water was just formed out of thin air. I mean, God just produced water out of nowhere that was not there before. You really want to spend $100, you want to go to prophecyclub.com and get these. You really do. Okay, enough of that. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. Again, I just want to make a point. This is the reason I think that there's a high probability that in 2024, as in the next 12 months, there's a high probability we could see the internal revolution and a lot of things start. Why? Because Dimitri had the angel come to him in 1984 and say, The fall of America will start with an internal revolution. Didn't say it would conclude. The fall of America would start. Means there's more coming. Fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. And he was told this in 1984. Now, if you add 40 years to this, I've covered this before, so I'll let you pause and read it. But if you add 40 years in 1984, it comes up to 2024. So it's reasonable to expect the internal revolution would start in 2024. I do not know that. God has not told me. I'm just guessing. But I'm a watchman, so I'm watching just like you're a watchman and you're watching, okay? Also want to remind you that Shane Warren in 2012 was told to look at these three things. There would be a hurricane hit America, right here. Dollars would become worthless as leaves. And the thing would start that is when they start selling oil and a currency other than the dollar. Now there's 2 nations that have done that. Also, he saw people protesting with this written on the signs, we want our entitlements. And the BRICS gold-backed currency goes into effect January 1, 2024, means all of this has a high probability of starting in the next 12 months. Then he saw a New Madrid or earthquake. Now, the interesting part is right here, an earthquake happened under my feet. Well, that's the same thing that Shane Warren. And what did he say? He said he saw that when they were demanding entitlement checks. In other words, what we're about to see is the fall of the dollar. Coverstone and Maurice Sklar both saw that the dollar goes, boom, down 30%, 50%, 66%, worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And during that time, people would be protesting, we want our entitlements. And during that time was when the earthquake hit. That's what all of these say. All of this, my brothers and sisters, could very, very possibly hit in 2024 for all these reasons. Now, God has not told me. God has not told me it's coming in 2024. I do not know. But I'm a good watchman, like you're a good watchman. And so we're doing our best to try to watch. That's what we're doing. Now, let's go through this. Now, I've talked about this many times. This is some of the most, I think this, Dimitri Duduman and Henry Gruver, and I mean, we got about 10 people. It's extremely important what they have said. So we see a 30% drop in value of the dollar, and then we see inflation go high. That's understood. A food shortage. You got to get some food. You got to get a water filter. You got to get prepared. Dollar bill goes to half. Riots. Earthquake happens under his feet. Then a Palestinian 2-state solution where they split Jerusalem. As a result, there's a major earthquake. America in pieces, or some of the states are seceding from the nation, and all of a sudden military takes charge. What's that? That's the internal revolution. This could all very well happen in the next 12 months. And that's the reason you got to send this out to other people. Remember, the audible voice of God told me, when these prophecies right here, he said, when the prophecies that gave your wife begin to come to pass, this is what he's talking about. He said, people from all directions begin to turn and listen to your ministry. And he showed me her, my wife Leslie, holding up the front pages of newspapers, and he showed me these headlines. So, I mean, this is confirmed, okay? Write them down. If you haven't written them down, pause and write those down. Write all of this down. You need to have... you need to have these, you need to have those, this one, you need to have all that written down. Okay, anyway, back to the point. Okay, so this confirms this, which confirms Shane Warren here. Okay, so we got 3 people almost all saying the same thing. Now, let's go to this. All right, so we see the dollar drop, that begins January. Then we see inflation. Then we see food shortage. All of that in the probably the first quarter of next year. Then dollar drops to 50% value. Then we see citizens demanding entitlements. Then we see an earthquake. Then we see that earthquake because we split Israel. We split Israel, God splits America. Consequently, then the internal revolution starts. All of this very well could take place in 2024. Then he saw like a cell phone. Remember, a 9-year-old boy had a vision where he saw it was not a cell phone, couldn't make phone calls from it, but you had to have this device to buy and sell. And here we see a new dollar bill, a cell phone with George Washington's face on it, and the headline is new currency for a renewed nation. And then people start growing their own food again. This is really important. Matter of fact, I know there's a lot of people out there on the internet. I look at them. You guys, by the way, thank you for sending me information. I really need the text more than I need the videos. But nevertheless, thank you for sending them. I see how many people have so many thousands of subscribers. But I'm telling you right here, this is the message. This one, and this one. These are the most important messages out there short of the gospel. And if you aren't sending them out, you're making a mistake. You want these to go to your friends so you can tell them, I told you this was coming. They won't believe you. You might lose some friends over it, but who cares? Because when it comes to pass, and this is confirmed, it is coming to pass. When this comes to pass, your friend's going to call or email and say, okay, yeah, what else do you have? Now, here, I'll give you an example. Okay, so December 22nd, 1989. My back was hurting. I was still in bed. It was about 8 o'clock. Here it comes on CNN. Used to watch CNN. Ceausescu's been shot. Romania is having a revolution. I sat up in bed. I thought, oh no, it's happening. Because see, Dimitri had told me that the angel said that before the fall of America, Romania will have a revolution. Well, by that time the phone rings, my mom calling long distance from Texas at the time. I was in Omaha at the time. You watching TV? I said, yes. About the internal revolution in Romania? Yes. She said, didn't you tell me that was going to happen? Yes, I did. She says, okay, tell me again. What else did you say? And I said, well, it wasn't me saying it, but here's the prophecy. I'm telling you, if you want to be a witness, and look, right here, you need to have this so you can be a witness. You can tell them, yeah, the Bible is true. Here is actual physical evidence, right here. Actual physical evidence you can take into a court of law and prove the Bible is true. If they want to know, God has put enough evidence out there to prove it. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep moving here. Now, let's jump to the Maui fire update. Now, I've skinnied a whole lot out of this. It's going to make a point here. Almost 1,000 people have lost their lives in the worst natural disaster Maui has faced. The fire took place in Lahaina, leaving 4,500 people needing, and residents have been advised not to drink the tap water. Did you know? Now, let me rephrase that. What is the number one cause of death in a disaster? It's not starving to death, and it's not people killing each other, at least not yet. The number one cause of death is drinking contaminated water. Desperate residents are looting businesses and robbing people at gunpoint. Yes, I know this is back in August, but the point I'm trying to make is this. Desperate survivors of Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii fires are looting, robbing people at gunpoint as they wait for food and shelter in the aftermath of the Maui wildfires, Hawaiian locals said. See, most people are not prepared for the trouble coming. And we watchmen, we know this is coming. And I know what you're going to say. Yeah, well, I don't have the money. Well, pray God and ask God to help you get the money. He wants you prepared. He wants you spreading the gospel. He don't want you crawling up in a fetal position, sucking your thumb because you weren't ready. He wants you to be able to be prepared so you can go out and say, well, here's the gospel. How'd you know this is coming? And here's some food. Here's some water. Okay? Because you knew it was coming. He wants you there prepared. There's some police presence. There's some small military presence. But at night, people are being robbed at gunpoint. Are you prepared for that? People are raped and pillaged. I mean, they're going through houses. So where's the support? Where's the police? They weren't there. In a time of drastic, massive, you take the earthquake. Okay, when the New Madrid earthquake hits, if the Great Lakes open up all the way down to Gulf of Mexico, Leslie saw that they open up all the way down to Tupelo, Mississippi. So there's various degrees of difficulty that come. But the point is, are you ready for a great catastrophe to hit America? If you're not ready, then I'll send you to prophecyclub.com to get your Berkey water filter. I'll send you over to josephkitchen.com to get yourself some food. Look, with wheat, you can feed a lot of people, healthy lot, and for not much money. So here's what I suggest. If you're short on cash, you want to have at least this one here, the Big Berkey, at least. And you'd be good if you have a couple of extra filters. Then, if you really want to be prepared, if you want to have enough for your neighborhood, then this is what I recommend. And you can put 8. It says comes with 6, but you can put 8 filters. I have one that has 8 filters, and all of my water goes through that. Even sometimes I run tap water through it, but whatever runs through it, I don't drink any water. It doesn't come out of that because I know I can trust it. I know that what comes out of that is pure. Matter of fact, Leslie had a vision, actually, on a Sunday morning during praise and worship. Back in 2011, she says there's going to be something put into our water system in many cities of this nation. People begin to get sick and some will die. Well, Vicky Parnell had a dream about that, was warned. They are literally going to try to kill a lot of Americans. Literally. They're going to try to poison them. I know this is hard to believe, but you better look, if you think we're in the tribulation, then you got to understand these kind of things are coming. Many turn to drinking bottled water. Environmentalists complain about that. Okay. My children that have ears, make sure you have a good, reliable water filter. You will not be able to trust the tap water or bottled water. The only thing you can trust is my word. Trusting me, says the Lord. You must get something to filter the water. You're going to need it. And if you'll go to Brighton.com, and if you'll look this up and watch this, just watch, it's called Watch the Water, you will understand that they are getting ready to poison. Some say that they're already poisoning the water. Berkey water filters, the only thing I trust. So, as far as an overview from now till Jesus returns, May 27th of 16, in my prayer closet, I prayed and asked the Lord to speak to Pastor Massey specifically on a bug's eye view of what is coming, not just a specific. Next morning he called, had a dream, don't understand it, tell me the dream, I understood it. This was the dream. He said the first segment was a scene where we were plowing, like very nice things were happening, good things like 7 years of plenty. That 7 years of plenty ended back in 2014. Then he says, I came home, someone dropped off 2 children at my house. One girl thought that we were the best people to take care of these people. They were scared they would have no food. There was no food where they were living. Someone came to my home to hurt these children. They said, let me talk to you. I said, well, before I talk to you, let me get my gun because I don't want to talk to you without my gun. So I got my gun, loaded it with 3 cartridges, and talked with them, meaning the time will arrive if you want to be safe and your family safe, you're going to have to be making provisions for you to provide for you to keep them safe. And ladies, that includes you. Mama bear is going to protect her cubs. But it's a whole lot easier if you have what my dad called an equalizer. And it looks like this, okay? You know what I'm saying? I got to watch what I'm saying this. Ladies, you need to learn how to handle one. Need to learn how to load it. Need to learn that it is your friend. And I believe in gun control. I think that you should control your gun. Make certain that you hit what you're aiming at, okay? That's my version of gun control. Anyway, to continue, he says, then I saw like a herd of people walking down the main road in front of my house. They were like a herd of cows packed close together like sardines. What happened? Probably the suitcase nukes. No, probably this is the Russian nukes that just destroyed America. And so they're leaving America in like rats leaving a sinking ship. I saw they begin to get chopped up. Only if 1 or 2 out of 1,000 would survive. I saw some kind of a chopper machine chopping some in half, chopping off their heads. Well, that is what the Bible says. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to say is get yourself prepared. These people did not have food. They did not have water. The police didn't come to help. The police actually turned against them. They wouldn't let some of the help come in. And even Hal Turner says, get food, water, guns, ammunition. The masses never make plans for an emergency. Make certain that you have food and water. And of course, for food, I'll send you to josephkitchen.com. For water, you should go to prophecyclub.com. Get yourself a Berkey water filter. I guess I've probably been using Berkey water filters for probably 25 years. And when I drink water, it all goes through a Berkey water filter. Sometimes I even run bottled water through a Berkey water filter. So go to prophecyclub.com. Now, let me show you why. I thought this was real interesting. These 2 calves, were born, one the day before and one on September 25th of 2014, which just happens to be a Shemitah. A Shemitah means 7, like 2 means, or a couple means 2, or a dozen means 12. In Hebrew, Shemitah means 7. And so I believe the prophecy is saying that it started 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. 7 years of plenty because the black and white cow has a perfect 7 on his forehead. The red cow has a scribbled 7 on his forehead. What are the chances both those cows are born within 24 hours and released to the public on the same day? I think it's of God saying 7 years of plenty started in 2014 and 7 years of famine started in 2021 and concludes to 2028. That's still in the ballpark. A lot of people think it's the tribulation. Now, that would mean that we are at this point in a famine. So what do? You do what Joseph did. The world lived off of bread. But in all the land of Egypt there was bread. The people cried to Pharaoh for bread. That's wheat. So the world lived off of wheat for 7 years, and I'm going to recommend you do the same thing. We have had 150 food sources destroyed the last 18 months. No arrests, we've had train derailments, China stopped container ships, threatening to stop all of them, Russia attacked Ukraine, breadbasket. Our food is under attack. Klaus Schwab says you will own nothing but be happy. They're in the process of taking everything we own. This is a loaf of bread I actually cook. I actually cook this. And as a matter of fact, I've already had a slice of bread this morning. And I've noticed that as long as I have at least 1 slice a day, I feel okay. It's best if I have 2 slices, like 1 for breakfast, 1 for lunch. Even if I'm not hungry, it's not that I'm eating it for food or because I'm hungry. It's because my body demands it. So josephkitchen.com, they can point you to get the right wheat, all the wherewithal you need to make bread. 1 loaf cut into 14 slices. If you eat 2 slices a day, I find that about 1 loaf feeds 1 person per week. 1 slice breakfast, 1 slice dinner, better nutrition, long storage life, some 3,000 years, 10 minutes to make bread machine. The weakness is the electricity, but if you go to josephkitchen.com, they can show you how to solve all of those problems. josephkitchen.com. Also, if you're looking for gold and silver, we'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. And if you're looking for this device, an EMP Shield device to put on your car or your house, go to empshield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY. Helps the Prophecy Club get you a $50 discount. What is wrong with this? You say, well, it's a piece of bread. You're right. It's a piece of bread I took out of this loaf. This loaf is a 1 pound loaf, and there's something missing from this bread. Even though it says it is whole wheat, there's still something missing from this and almost all of the bread you're eating. See, the story was in 1860, the smart humans decided that they were going to outstrip God, and that they could figure out a way to where the flour would not spoil, because once you break the wheat berry, then it begins to spoil, and in 7 to 10 days it's got mold. So they figured out how they could be smarter than God. We're going to take out the outside shell and then the wheat germ. We're only going to use the white powder part of the wheat. And that doesn't spoil. And they're right. You can put it in a bag. 5 years later, it's still there. But then, of course, there's something else they removed. And that is most. Now, not all, but most of the nutrition. So then they had to pass all of these laws saying you got to put niacin, you got to put vitamins, you got to do this, put all of this into the. So why not just use what God made? So the difference between this and what I made is this. That's the difference in my bread, whole wheat bread, versus what you buy in the store. The bigger slice here, this is actually cherry, cinnamon, honey, and vanilla mixed together. And I made this. So when you make your own homemade bread, you can make it flavor any way. You want jalapeno, you got it. You want to have seeds, sesame seeds, however you want to, you can make it. But the big advantage to making your own whole wheat bread is that it's probably the cheapest way to have long-term storage food, because most of your long-term storage food companies cost $9,000 to $10,000 per person per year. But at Joseph's Kitchen, they can show you how to feed your family for about $1,000 per person per year, and it's whole wheat. Okay, so what is whole wheat over the regular wheat? Well, you remember the 7 years of plenty followed by the 7 years of famine of Joseph and the Pharaoh. Well, that meant that the whole world lived off of wheat for 7 years. Now, I don't think that maybe Jesus said, man should not live by bread alone, meaning you should have other things that you should eat. However, about the closest thing out there that'll feed you not only good tasting but also nutrition for your body is wheat. And so we recommend you go to josephskitchen.com. When you go there, you got to get 2 things. One is you have to get a machine package. That's the items that you need to actually physically make the bread. It's a wheat grinder where you put the wheat in. 30 seconds later, you have flour. You put it into a bread machine with 6 other ingredients. Push a button, 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice, hot, steaming loaf of wonderful, that you made, whole wheat bread. Slice that up. The slicer is even included. The beakers, everything. It's everything you need to make bread. Then you decide how much food you want to have. You want to have food for 6 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 2 people 1 year. You place your order, and they have it in stock. Because most of these long-term storage food places, they're out. Some of them are 2 or 3 months. Some of them are even longer behind in filling their orders. But at Joseph's Kitchen, they can ship within 2 or 3 days. And they ship around the world. Go to josephskitchen.com. I'm telling you that the prophecies say there's about to be a food shortage. And if you want to listen to what God's trying to warn us about, then you'll get this long-term storage food. Terry Saka, Cornerstone Asset Metals.com. So why should people go online or call you today?
Seymour Hersh, an amazing investigative journalist, laid out the case that the United States is the one that blew up the Nord Stream pipelines, hurting our very own allies. That is a nation that is desperate because their currency is on the verge of losing reserve status. That's not good for a United States dollar, and why we better be protected.
Terry Saka, Cornerstone Asset Metals.com. Give him a call or go online today. Cornerstone Asset Metals.com. Rule number 1, make sure your name is written in the book of life. Rule number 1, ask Jesus to forgive your sins. That's the most important thing. Number 2, most important thing. Whatever happens, do not take that mark of the beast. You take that mark of the beast, you can cut your hand off, you can chisel off your forehead, but you're going to spend all eternity with the beast, the false prophet, and 1,000 years later, Lucifer joins them, and all the other people that take the mark of the beast, and there is no hope of escape. You're tormented. That means you're in total pain. It means that your body, although it's not a body of flesh, whatever it is, your body is totally being burned. for all eternity, and there is no stopping it. There is no escaping it. Whatever happens, you do not want to take that mark of the beast, which, by the way, I would recommend you go to prophecyclub.com and get my book, Miss the Mark. As a matter of fact, it's sold so much, we are, I think, now going into the 5th printing. This book is simple. It only takes about 3 hours to read. It's designed to give to someone that's not a Christian, doesn't know Jesus, that hadn't read the Bible. Give it to anybody out there. If they'll read the first few pages, they'll probably finish the book. And if they finish the book, I don't care what God they used to have, they're not going to take that mark of the beast. And chances are very strong they'll receive Jesus. So for that, I would send you to prophecyclub.com. 1 for $20, and you'll have to check and get whatever the other prices are. I will say this, they just went up substantially on our printing price. And so guess what? No surprise, we had to go up on our prices too. But nevertheless, not about money. It's about winning souls.